across with your golf carts. What's up, dudes? It's a little bit of a sad day, kind of passing the torch. I am selling my Grand Marquis today. She's real filthy. She's been sitting under a tree. I don't know if you can see all that all over the hood. I'm taking her to get her a wash. I'm selling it to a friend of mine. I didn't even list it for sale because they saw that I bought a new car and they were like, dude, that thing is, you've driven that thing all over the country. I had like 4 people all reach out to me simultaneously and say, hey man, you selling the Merc? And they all said the same thing. They said, you've driven that thing all over the country. It's been reliable for you. It's clearly a reliable car. And that's part of the reason why I kept it. I drove a cab, for those of you who don't know, I drove a cab for 9 years in Orlando, Florida, and we drove this type of car. And they routinely ran these things to 500,000 miles without issue. Typically what happened is around 450,000, 500,000 miles, is the timing chain would break, and then that would be the end of the motor, and they would just go, all right, done. Prior to that, about the most expensive thing that would happen is the transmission would give out, which the transmission gave out on this thing at like 150,000? No, 250,000. No, 230? I don't know. Somewhere in the last like 30,000 miles, the transmission gave out. This thing has 261,000 on it right now. I got it with 100,000 even. So I have put 161,000 and change on this thing, and it's been a blast. So let's get. I'm getting on the highway now, so I'm gonna put this rig down. We need to concentrate because this is I-4. Ask me all the time whether or not I was really a cab driver. Oh wow, they have it's gonna go in the car wash. The car wash is broken again, apparently. I have to wait for the hand wash. This might have been a bad time to come. I'll sit across the street and wait. People often ask me if I really was a cab driver because I talk about it in my set, and yeah, 9 years. I drove for Mears. You can see Mears right here. It was a fun experience, I gotta say. I learned a lot about people. I figured this would be, a fun little place to come back and wash the car one last time, Almost like saying goodbye to 2 things simultaneously. It's weird, man. Okay, so a little bit about the car. When I got this car, I inherited it from my grandfather. And since I was going to drive it on the road a lot, I wanted to do a couple things to it that would increase the creature comforts of it, but I didn't want it to stand out because I knew I drove places like Chicago or Atlanta. I didn't want to have to worry about it if it was parked anywhere, so I did things like, it doesn't look like there's a stereo in this car, but I have Focal speakers in the doors. There's an amp under the seat. There's a big sub in the trunk. There's a 10-inch sub. I guess this isn't really big. It's pretty normal. It's a pretty powerful sub though. I think it's a 500 watt sub, but I think it's capable of 500 or 1,000 RMS, but it's only got like, I think it's like 350 or 300 going to it, and then like 75 to the doors. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough. Noon must be the time of day when they change shift for the town cars, because because that's what I'm seeing is a lot of town cars changing shifts. One of the other things I changed to the car was I added 17-inch wheels off of a cop car, a newer cop car, and I had them painted to match the car. And then I have center caps off of a Mercury Mountaineer. I did that because I think it looks nice. Also, the wheels that came on it stock were like 15s, and they were like maybe 4 or 5 inches wide, and the whole car would lean as you went around a turn. And from my experience driving the cab, if we ever drove one that had the cop wheels on it, the car handled way better. There was a wider grip on the road. There was a wider grip on the road. The tires were better just because of their shape and diameter. So the car handled way better. So that's why I put them on the car, and sure enough, I was debating between that and doing like shocks and springs in the car, and the tires helped phenomenally. So this thing still has as far as I know, the original shocks and springs on it. I kind of doubt my grandfather ever changed them. He wasn't the type of dude that repaired cars well. Also, I tinted all the windows. It's like, I think it's 20% all the way around. So I just did things that I felt like, made this car a little nicer. And, I'm gonna miss it. Had 100,000 even on it when I got it. So I put 161,366 miles on this beast, and I'm gonna miss it. It's been a really good car for me, and it's easily got another 200,000 miles on it. So as long as the next person takes care of it, which that's why I'm selling it to a friend, because I know he'll take care of it. This is my baby. I feel like I'm selling a child. You know what I mean? I feel sad seeing her go. Also, I need to clean this thing out. I still have a ton of stuff in here.
I love you.
She's all clean. Time to take her home. Give her away. I feel like I don't know, man. I got so much history with this car. It's hard to let it go, Listen, standard equipment on any Grand Marquis in Florida is a box of Kleenex in the back window. That stays. But other than that, she's pretty cleaned out. I had the headliner replaced. It's in great shape. Now I just got to get the last couple things out of the trunk. So on the side of the car, I always kept like magnets and stickers from all the different radio shows I've done. We got Monsters, Tom and Dan. We did the Burbank Comedy Festival. There was one for the News Junkie, because I've been on the News Junkie, but everyone keeps taking it. It always disappears. It's like part of the thing. If you're not from Orlando, basically, there's a radio show here, and they have magnets, and part of the allure to the magnets is they call it Game of Magnets, and people just take your magnet. It's like steal this magnet. But yeah, I think she looks good, man. This is a good looking car for her age. This car's old enough to drink. Man, it's been sitting here 5 minutes. Look how many leaves are already on this thing. I just washed it. This tree is a monster.